Hi, Gary Cox here from Kosmic Sound. I'm here today at Roland with Braegen and we're here to talk about some new Boss product.
What I'm going to show you first of all is the brand new Boss ME-80 guitar multiple effects. Now this comes from a long legacy of ME devices that Boss have put out, beginning with the ME-5 way back in 1987. I don't know if you remember that one.
I do.
Well, there's been a lot of changes and a lot of updates to the ME range since 1987, but they're all leading up to today and the release of the ME-80 in 2014. Right out of the box, you'll see that we've kept the dial-based interface. Fantastic for live performance. You can literally just bend down, turn the dial to exactly where you want it, and away you go.
Yep.
Very handy feature. You'll notice on the front here that we have 8 foot switches as opposed to just 4. We also, of course, have the great Boss expression pedal here, which we're going to get into in a little bit.
Cool.
Delving into the unit itself,
Yep.
I'm going to start off by saying that we've got an updated version of the Kosmic amp modeling. This is taken directly from the GT100, which is the flagship multiple effects unit for Boss. That's built right into the unit. Looking at the dial-based interface here, we now have 2 multiple effects units built right in. This is a first for the ME range.
Cool.
This means that I can dial in multiple modulations in the same signal chain. So for example, I can dial in a phaser here,
Yeah.
but I can also dial in a phaser up here.
Massive. Yeah.
I can do the same thing with delays, tremolos, boosts and choruses all across the ME-80. So even though we've got a dedicated modulation section here,
Yep.
and we've got the FX2, under the compression section we've also got multi-effects as well. So I
Yep.
can dial in things like a T-wah
Yep.
or a ring mod or acoustic simulator in
Cool.
the effects, which is very handy.
Yeah.
In the overdrive section we've got a huge range of boosters, overdrives, distortions and fuzzers. They're all at our disposal right there, as well as all the great sounding preamps that are built in here into the preamp section,
Yep.
giving us drives and crunches and classic Brit combos and stacks. Now I just want to point out that in the delay section here we've actually got the new MDP pedals. So I've actually got a version of the Terra Echo. Cool.
Yep.
And I've also got a version of the MO2 or multi-overtone in the modulation section.
Okay. Sweet.
Awesome. Okay, so that's the dial-based interface section and the multi-effects that are going on inside the ME-80.
Cool.
Next, I just want to quickly talk about the foot switches. Previously, we had 4 foot switches here, and you'll notice that we've updated the whole design. Now we've actually got 8.
Yep.
Okay, now these aren't rocker switches. These are independent switches, which is very cool. And each one of them has their own peak. So there's no confusion when you're on stage of accidentally hitting one instead of hitting the one that you want to. It's very obvious under
Cool.
your foot exactly what's going on with the foot switch. It's
Yep.
very cool. Now there are 2 different ways we can look at using these foot switches
Yep.
on the ME-80. We can look at using them in memory mode
Sure.
or manual mode. Now if we're looking at them in memory mode, the bottom 4 switches here act as patch changes, so I can change through all of my presets without any trouble. In this mode, I've got access to a bank up and down, which is a huge update on the...
Absolutely no external foot switches necessary now.
Very cool. We've also got the control pedal here,
Yep.
which gives us control over subtleties within the patch, if you like. For example, I might just want to use it to turn on a tremolo in one patch, but in another, I might want to switch up to 7 different effects on simultaneously just by hitting the control pedal. Huge time saver, and makes something that would be otherwise impossible with a bunch of compact pedals totally possible with the ME-80.
Cool.
The 8th switch over here gives us the option of switching between memory mode or manual mode, but if I hold it down for 2 seconds, I can actually use the inbuilt tuner. Now, if I flick the unit over to manual mode, what this does is it turns each one of these pedals, foot switches, into an independent stomp box. So these stomp boxes are clearly marked out by the sections in white. So I have a section dedicated to modulation, which I turn on and off, or to overdrives and distortions, which I turn on and off, and compression or FX1 I can turn on and off.
Sure.
Okay, so moving on to the expression pedal here,
Yep.
it does what you'd expect an expression pedal to do, Gary.
Sure.
It operates the volume and the wah. But a nice little addition on the ME-80 is that we've added a freeze feature.
Yep.
Awesome for guitarists. It kind of acts like a piano sustain pedal, where in heel position I can play a chord, I can kick it forward, and the ME-80 will hold the chord for me. I can then kick on the overdrive or distortion and solo over the top. When I've had enough of that chord, I kick it back, I play another chord, kick it forward to hold the sustain, Kick on the distortion. Gritty. And then let it go when I'm ready to. So you can see that this whole feature for a guitarist is awesome.
Cool. Look, one of the interesting things to me on this is the new USB function.
Yeah, great that you mentioned it. With the ME-80, we can connect this directly to our computer and go to www.bosstonecentral.com and download a free piece of software called Boss Tone Studio. This allows us to manipulate all the patches that we've set and reorder them for our set list, which is very handy and it's a huge time saver.
Yeah.
In addition to that, Gary, you can actually download your favorite guitarist patches that have been designed specifically for the ME-80. So not only is the ME-80 very handy for a live situation, very interactive with the dial-based interface, but it's just as at home as an interface itself with your favorite DAW software.
Awesome.
It's all in one unit.
Okay, thanks Braegen. This is Gary Cox from Kosmic Sound. Come down and check it out. I'll leave you with a harmonist pedal. How's that for tracking?